Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey in learning just a little bit more of this amazing language. And I got overly excited and did some little bit oversharing in the recent episodes because these are really, really good phrases or sayings that were preserved in the Chinese phrases. Like yesterday, we have 尽人事听天命, which is a Chinese advice to people who are like living the world, experiencing the world, and having a lot of setbacks and frustrations of how things turn out, unexpected, or not what you want, and the result is not ideal. So we're definitely not living in an ideal world, right? So this is a Chinese way of saying, like, you can exhaust everything that humanly possible that you can do to have a hands-on. So you see the hands-on sign. So these are the hands. You can only do so much within your power, your physical, muscular, intellectual power, and then let the remaining part, that's way more bigger factors beyond your control. Like let the universe, basically. In English, we kind of assigning everything that's beyond your humanly control domain into the universe. So instead of heaven here, so Chinese use heaven or sky or the upper bound, use that as environmental referral, but English use universe now. It's probably the biggest word we can in English concept that we can think, right? So universe include all the far away stars and galaxies you've never seen, right? So that's a far-reaching concept to mean everything else beyond you, and that they have their own ways of working. It's beyond your understanding, definitely beyond your control. So what you can do is to listen. And today we continue with listen. And we have this order again. But now this phrase, 俯首听命. You notice? We're missing the 天命. We have 听天命 here, right? And here we just 听命. And then the whole thing changed. Here, 听命 means follow the order. And this order doesn't mean heavenly order anymore. It's a societal order. More specifically, is order from the authority. And your posture of listening here is no longer as the ancient character advised you or described what listening means to a Chinese. We have the ear, we have the presence, a person standing on the soil, like very grounding factor there. And then we have 10 eyeballs, eyes, looking at here is the ground level truth. So 10 eyes looking at the same ground means truth finding. And with the heart. So this is the chamber with a tube, 3 tubes comes to the chamber. That's the heart symbol. So these are like the ears, also a visual depiction of Chinese, how Chinese view the ear looking like that. So these are the organs on a human, right? These are what we can tap into. And then this presence is this requirement. And this 10 eyeballs checking is like fact checking. What one individual see is not necessarily true. I mean, we all know it's true, right? Or like you see it once may not necessarily be true. So fact checking means you look at something with 10 pairs of eyes, like with people coming with their own biases, or with 10 pairs of eyes over time. You examine something repeatedly, and then you know it's true. So this truthfully heart is the Chinese character component for moral. So following the truth actually is the moral definition in Chinese. Interesting, right? Okay, so we have heart and presence. So this kind of listening defined in this character here in this context means simply follow it doesn't mean follow the truth anymore, even if this is the original character embedded into this lesson. Given the context here, you have to bend your head, that kind of posture, that way of listen. That means kind of, regardless of what order that is given, you blindly, basically, you're not really looking. You do not even have your pride anymore because of this posture of bending head. Means in your head, you may see or think differently. But because this is the order from the above, the ruler of the party of the society you were born into, and you have no other choice but to bend and kind of lose, like, don't even think about the truth. There is a disconnect. All you need to do is just to follow. Okay, so let's do 俯. Contemporary Chinese, we have this person symbol on the left and then the sound maker out there, but it doesn't really make sense, right? How the sound over here is actually a residence of like kind of a big residence, could be an office building or something like that. And the person, it doesn't really make sense of how this means band, right? And just like 听, this is a simplification of Chinese process that we try to just you keep the minimum meaning. So this is something related to a person, and it has a sound of 俯. That's the sound maker, meaning maker combination. Boom. That's the bend. It doesn't really make sense. It lost touch with the origins of the character-based, visual-based, and then certain logic between the characters to build out the meaning. It lost touch with that because it wants to simplify. It wants more people to learn it quickly. So it's a kind of shortcut. But by shortcutting, it cut out the essence of that language, at least for this character and for this character, right? Already half of the characters are out in this phrase that are super simplified and lost touch with the past. So the past here for 俯 came from this head symbol. You notice these are the same symbols. So Chinese do have this components kind of reused and combined with other pictures, icons, they form a new meaning. So this means the head. The reason why it means the head is this kind of looking like this is an abstraction, not of a person, of nose bridge. That's how I eventually figure out. So look at the nose. It's one vertical line with two diagonal lines, kind of looking like that. That's the abstraction of nose bridge. It's a visual depiction of the physical world. Okay, and then we have two nostrils to save space. Nostrils should be like this, right? But to save space, a lot of times Chinese do this, kind of stacking up, but you know, it refers to what's below the nose bridge. It's the two nostrils. So that's the whole thing here is the center of the face, the nose. That's the main structure of the nose. So the nose with a circle around it, it means the whole face, because for efficiency of expressing, we just show the center of the face and circle, like that's the whole face, without depicting the eyes, the ears, the eyebrows, the mouth over there, like so many other important sensors or expressors on your face. You cannot draw everything out. That's not efficient. So the language here do have this function of abstracting, picking out the most important thing. In this case, is the center of the face, using the center and the circle the whole thing to mean the whole thing, okay, without depicting everything else. Okay, that's the head symbol or the face symbol. And then it kind of add a kind of small body to it. And again, it's kind of a human figure, looking like that, right? But with a big head attached to it. So big-headed. So here, the over proportion, like outsized, it's totally unproportional, right? Outsized head. When you see a zoom up view of outside something, that means the language creator really emphasizing. So that's the thing we're talking about. It draw out the whole thing, attach a head over a body, and the head is oversized. That means it's the head we're talking about, okay? And the left side simply means, it's a sound of Tao, and a used to pair with this walking sign. That means you're escaping something, you're running away. And now we have this running, this action figure go out, and the sound of Tao, this means it depicts the cracks on the turquoise. So turquoise used to be the record keeper, okay, before computer storage, okay, everything's stored digitally. In the past, to store anything, kind of time freeze it permanently, passed down to next generations, like 1,000 years later, people can still visibly see what you were written over there, right? So that kind of record keeping were pretty expensive, right? To keep something survive generations, it's not an easy task. So in the past, people carve in messages on turquoise shells. Probably they discovered turquoise are easily preserved over time. Even, your flesh bones rotten, crumbled, the shells are going to be there. So that's the record back then. And these are the cracks, kind of depicting the cracks on this turquoise record. So this used to be the sound maker, and now the combined with escaping. So now this escaping, the running part is gone, but still scholars refer the sound of that part of that running sign as the whole reference to the running. So the action of running, and with something referring to the head. So imagine when you're running, what's your head posture? It's most likely kind of forward bending, right? So that's the result of this character, is somebody who is in running, their head motion is kind of bent over. I'm not sure that's for aerodynamic purpose or something. And maybe that's a wrong depiction, because we see professional runners run, right? They don't really have their head bent down, even if they're super fast. So probably it's not for aerodynamic purpose. It's just depicting a layperson who is not an athletic pro. Like back then, like nobody was a pro athletic, right? So that's a layperson running away with their head kind of tucking in. Probably also because this Tao means escape. Like you try to not to be noticed when you run, right? When you escape. So that kind of head down motion, kind of try to hide away from attention. That's the bend, the head bend came from. Okay, and this is the head. So again, we have this nose bridge, 2 nostrils, and with a whole circle around it to represent the whole head. And then this 3, almost like streams, right? Like you don't really see that much, but once it's put in there, it's kind of hairy, and it's hairs. So the depiction, the abstraction of hairs, the whole thing means a head with hairs, okay? It's a non-bolded head. And eventually that becomes representing the whole head. I guess it came from a pretty horrifying image of the practice of ancient wartime. When you kill an enemy, the proof of you killed someone is to cut off their head, and oftentimes hold on to their hair and do this motion. And this kind of head with hairs on, that's the head image. Okay, don't want to traumatize anybody, but this is a possibility of where this symbol came from. Okay, and then we have this listening and order. So this is a total, not the Tian Ming, but the Empress Ming, maybe, whoever rules the society over there. And for one English concept, I would translate it to submissive. It's like unconditionally following the order. like bend your head, basically like give up your right to think, to speak, to disobey. You give up all of that and you become this zombie-ish figure of just blindly following the order. And just like this episode on the channel After School, in the mass psychosis, depicted that children like come from nature, right? They have their own interests, curiosities, and they went through this obey tube, and the freedom was drained. Like there is no freedom of thinking anymore, no critical thinking, definitely. And everybody was converted into this whatever. I mean, here use the big corpse icons over here, and with the camera monitoring. So everybody kind of, their mind are wired to be following whatever is showing on here. So they lose touch with their reality, and they are following whatever are, you know, subconsciously mind controlled messages on these social medias. And then they become like a zombie-ish figure and would die like that. So this kind of dehumanizing process, right? Taking away your brain basically and make you 俯首听命, like a bend your head, like you definitely lose your dignity, lose your pride, lose your independence as a independent thinking, you know, consciousness, basically become a zombie. And then you listen to whatever are taught to you, speak to you, or propaganda, and then you know, that's the process. So I find this may be a good illustration of what it means to be 俯首听命, means super submissive, obey the order. And okay, they even gave a title of this, killing of the mind, menticide. Okay, that's super deep stuff, but okay, that's what Chinese is saying about the same phenomenon, 俯首听命. Okay, Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.